Welcome back to the Art of MMA. I am your host, Jamal Thompson, and I am back with
Roger.
yes, sir, yes, sir, and we are here for a fight night: Strickland versus Hernandez. Um, but even though it's a fight night, quite a few fights on this card looking pretty enticing. I think this might be one of the better cards we've gotten since Paramount came about. Uh, there's a mix of talent, upcoming talent. There's a mix of strikers that us as a podcast has been really, really excited about and have been talking about for a couple months. And there's a mix of guys vying for contendership. I think it has a little bit of everything. What says you, sir?
I'm excited for this. This has some really good fights on it. It's got some fights that are just going to be fun. You'll probably hear a few times where it's like, this is going to be fun. Don't be surprised if, but there are still some clear favorites on it. This is going to be one of those fights where even when you think you know the outcome, watch that fight. It's going to be good, and you just never know what's going to happen with some of these people on here.
Yep.
Exciting fight to watch.
Massive favorites. We open up the card with a fighter that I think I've mentioned in like 3 straight podcasts. Carly Judice is opening up the card against Juliana Miller. Minus 520 favorite. Last time I checked. As a dabbling man, I hate those kind of odds, but as somebody who likes watching fighting, that shows me that they see Carly Judice in the same light that I see Carly Judice. I think it's going to be a fun exhibition of her getting her strikes off. I think if you enjoyed watching her on that Dustin Poirier Farewell card, you'll see a lot of the similar things in this one. My bad. Carly Judice is not minus 520. I apologize. She's minus 750. Her opponent is plus 520. I think you guys should tune into this fight night early. That is my suggestion. I think to open up the card with Carly Judice, you guys could really find a fighter to kind of attach your wagon to and get very excited for what the future has in store for Carly Judice. I think in terms of women's MMA, she is a very natural striker. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks very comfortable for her. And not in the sense of like, oh, just pressure and get out of there. Like, just the movement looks a lot different than a lot of the people that you usually watch in women's MMA, which has me excited for, again, where she could leapfrog if she comes out and gets another stoppage performance here, which I think is possible. I think she could end this within the distance. Precision, power, especially for that weight class. I think she has all the tools to kind of open up the card with a bang. Not saying it's going to be quick, but I think it's going to be a finish, which is unusual usually in MMA fights with women that have been on recent ones. So, yeah.
You think it'll be a first round finish?
The fight being at 4 kind of makes me sad because I think I do work 7 to 5 that day. But I will go back and watch it. That's how much I enjoy watching Carly Judice fight. I do think it'll be a finish, and it's unusual to kind of take, again, women's fighters by finish. But I took her by finish in her last fight, and she came through with a kidney shot,
nice,
or a liver shot, one of the organ shots, and put the girl down. So,
liver shot.
Tune in early. Tune in early is all I'll say. What says you, sir?
And don't be surprised at Juliana Miller.
Okay.
I'm telling you, they can put Judice's odds at whatever they want. Juliana Miller is game, and she's good. And I'm obviously going to pick Judice in this, along with everybody else who has the odds. However, let me say, Juliana Miller coming out with a spectacular win is not out of the question. It is one of those things, if you like pulling for the underdog and the upset.
Plus 520 odds, you're saying, is live and well in this one, is what it sounds like.
Juliana Miller is good. do not listen. If you like Juliana Miller and you like her in this fight, go with your heart on this one. This is one to say go with your heart on, because no, not giving advice or anything. I'm just saying, if you're a fan, be a fan. Like be a fan, because this is one where do not be surprised if she comes out on top. I am still going with the Gulf Coast girl and with Judice. she's probably going to have a little much for Miller, but Miller's good. Her striking is good. She is fun to watch. So, we'll go with Judice on this, but don't be
You're
surprised.
hedging your bets. You're hedging your bets early here, huh?
I'm just saying, I don't see those odds.
Ride with your girl if you're riding with your girl, right?
I like those odds if you're a Miller fan.
Okay.
Love them.
The odds don't get much better in the next one either. A guy who was involved in a very interesting fight last gets to come out and hopefully get one that isn't predetermined. Yeah, Delval will have an opportunity to make.
It took me a second.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I got there.
Yeah. He has to come out against Jordan Levitt and hopefully get an opportunity to, create an unplanned moment in this one. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Even though the last fight might have been predetermined, jury's still out. Jury's not so out. They cut him. But that guy's an up-and-comer, and there's a reason why they probably picked it to be the fight to quote-unquote fix, because that guy's good. That guy's good, and he's got some good tools. And I could see that guy coming out and having a nice moment in this one where he, actually locks in something on the ground that isn't gifted. And reminds people that, hey, like, even though he was a part of that situation, he did his part. He came out, he executed, and he could do that in any kind of sense of the fight. He's a very heavy favorite in this one. I do like him to win this fight as well. I'm more interested to just see the whole exchange. I'm interested to see what Jordan Levitt has for him on the other side more than anything else, just to kind of learn a little bit more about both fighters. But again, if you're there for the Judice fight, this one could be another fun one. Delval is pretty explosive. It could be a finish. I just hope it's not scripted. What says you, Roger?
What are the odds on this one?
Oh gosh, is this a don't be surprised again? Levitt is plus 300.
Levitt is play. That's closer. That's closer. Good. Duval is good. He's very top heavy when he gets in there grappling.
Yeah, he does.
He's got a lot of top heavy thing. But listen, Jordan Levitt is really slick and really clever with jiu-jitsu. And he surprises me almost every time he fights. I never think he's going to win the fight. And most of the time he ends up coming out on top, and in ways that I'm just surprised. He doesn't really have that. I think he's just got, I don't know, he comes off with kind of a little bit of a strange personality. But when he fights, he's so slick, he's so clever. I mean, I know he's not favored in this fight. Duval is
but don't
strong.
Be surprised.
He is strong, and he's got good top pressure. But Levitt is not a slouch at all. I'm gonna go with Levitt in this one for the upset.
Yes. Look, man,
I'm going with Levitt for the upset. And this is the first time I picked him, so he's probably gonna get
demolished,
smacked down.
Yeah.
But I'm going with Levitt. He's so slick. He's so clever. He proves me wrong every time. Well, almost every time. But yeah, I think he's got a loss to Chase Hooper, which is something
it's
that like
aging like milk.
Yeah.
Like once upon a time, like a lot of Chase Hooper, you're like that dude. I get it,
and it's not that Chase Hooper's whatever, but like.
It's not that Chase Hooper's whatever, but it's not.
He's an enigma kind of. Levitt is like he'll beat somebody that I think is pretty good and on their way up or whatever, and then he'll lose to somebody like Chase Hooper, who I don't think he has any business losing to, and so he is kind of an enigma. If he shows up ready to go, I think he takes this fight.
You're enticing me to build a pretty insane underdog situation. Let's put it that way. you're enticing me to put $1 on quite a bit of these heavy underdogs
Hey,
and see where the chips fall. Because just like you are a fan of Jordan Levitt, I am a fan of the underdog in this next fight,
who's that?
Phil Rowe.
Phil Rose underdog. See, if you can't tell, I don't look at the odds
Yep, Phil
before I
Rowe
do this.
versus. I'm looking at the betting app. That's why it's taking me longer. Phil Rowe versus Jean-Paul Lebesonania. I said that wrong, but that's fine.
That's good.
Jean-Paul. We'll stick with Jean-Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I love Phil Rowe. I like the length.
Hey,
I like the jab. I like the distance control. I think there's enough power behind those punches. I think sometimes he gets a little bit lackadaisical in there and allows himself to be controlled and not take control of the fight. I'll be honest, I am not the sharpest on the Jean Paul side in terms of like what he presents. So there's a little bit of familiarity there with me for Phil Rowe.
mm-hmm.
And I'm okay getting him at plus odds. Not saying
Okay.
I'm from a dabbling standpoint, but I am okay with that. I really plus 165 is calling me. Plus 165 is calling me, and I might answer. I
See,
might answer.
that's those are about the odds I think the first two fights should be at. And I think the people favored should probably be favored in both of those fights.
Yeah.
But I think it should be more like the fights that this one is right here. I'm gonna go the opposite of you. I think John Paul, because if Phil Rowe lets him dictate the pace and the place of the fight,
Yes.
John Paul, if he's allowed to do that, his strikes land, his kicks are really good, and he showed that at I think it was the Contender Series, but I think that's why Dana signed him. He got a spectacular head kick, but just his striking overall is very good, and if he's allowed to control the fight in any way, shape, or form, I think he takes this fight.
What if I could tell you that one guy has an 8.5-inch reach advantage on the other? Would that sway you at all?
If that person with the 8.5-inch reach advantage is traditionally known to control where the fight goes, then
yes,
I would
but
go with
usually
him
he's not.
almost every time.
Yes.
But because he's not, then I'm going to say, even if my man Jean Paul here cannot kick the head just because
Of how far
it's so
away it
far
is.
up there, he can still get the liver.
He
can still get the legs.
He could beat
His
the body
hands
up.
can reach him.
Yeah, he could beat the body up.
And we'll see. This is his first fight in the UFC. So you look amazing on Dana White's Contender Series, and you get in the UFC, and maybe you don't quite have what they thought you had. So this is one that we'll
somebody
see.
serious to begin with too.
Oh yeah. Phil Rowe is no joke. He is good. Again, if I was going to do the whole don't be surprised stick, don't be surprised if Phil Rowe pulls this out. But I'd go with the odds in this just because of the brinksmanship of Phil Rowe letting somebody else control the octagon. Yep.
We'll see. I'm excited for that one. I think that's another good one early. This one I'm a little bit out of my depths with. I don't know if you know these guys better, but Ramiz Brimage versus Punahele Suriano. Both guys are, decent record. 170 pounders, so back-to-back welterweight fights on this card. I'll kind of defer to you. What do you see in this one?
Well, let me give you my opinion before I get the odds because I have no idea what the odds are in this one.
Okay.
Soriano's a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
But I've seen him getting super tired. Ramirez, fast-paced, aggressive, very aggressive. He can grapple, he can strike some, but he's very aggressive in there. I think he outworks Soriano, and I think he's gonna put it on Soriano, and I'm gonna guess get him out of there in the second round. Okay. That's gonna be my prediction for the fight. I like Soriano. He's a good striker. I've seen him fight a few times before. I do question his gas tank in this fight, and I think the aggression of Ramirez is going to make him push his gas tank early, and I think that's going to be to his benefit. He's not as heavily built as Soriano is.
Mm-hmm.
So Soriano's got a lot more of that muscle that the blood has to get to, and that works against him in the cardio. And Ramirez is so aggressive that I think it's going to take its toll.
Ramirez is the betting favorite, but not by a lot. I think it's -135 to +105.
Yeah.
So they expect this fight to be a lot closer. I'm excited to just learn more about both these fighters. These are guys that I'm not too familiar with, so I'll defer to your analysis on this one. If you beg me to flip a coin on it, I like the guys who apply more pressure in fights.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pick in Mario Batista last week by decision. Or 2 weeks ago by decision, right? So if you're telling me Brahimaj is a front foot fighter against a guy who's willing to gas out, I'm seeing shades of obviously what we watched recently. So I'll ride with that.
Keep in mind, the hands of Soriano,
Heavy.
they're good. Medic, who fights later in this fight, Soriano has a win over him.
Okay.
So that tells you anything. This is going to be a good fight. Yeah, he can connect.
Maybe that could set up a rematch.
It could.
Potentially, right?
Yeah.
We have one of those. Jocelyn Edwards versus Nora Cornell, right? I scoured the internet far and wide. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I could not find this fight to rewatch it. I watched the original card, funny enough, because I was very excited to watch that fight night in France. Don't remember this fight. Makes sense. And Jocelyn Edwards didn't really have a good striking output in that one. It was okay, but she was, more in control based on the stats. Jocelyn Edwards is only 30. She fought that fight 3 years ago. So, I mean, oldest she could have possibly been is 28. She's come a long way in those 2 to 3 years. Especially as a striker. And she's heavily favored in this one. And I think this is a fair one to say, don't be surprised, right? Because if Cornell's been in there with her and could kind of, obviously I think Jocelyn Edwards is presenting a lot more than the last time. But Cornell got this win already. That means something, right? But if I'm just picking from what I think is going to happen standpoint, I think Jocelyn Edwards feels a lot more comfortable behind her jab, behind her striking. Even though she still has that ground game element to her, there is a new level of being able to get these significant strikes off at a good pace. And she's outpacing Nora Cornell almost 2x on the significant strike per minute meter. So I think Jocelyn will go back to the drawing board and realize, okay, back then the control didn't really duke it out with the control. We exchanged. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the film. I don't know who really got the better of the exchanges, but I'm assuming based on Cornell winning by pretty much unanimous decision, she got the better of the exchanges.
Gotta trust the judges are right though.
Yeah. I think Jocelyn is primed to come in there and probably try to take this one on the feet and see what she could get done against a 36-year-old Cornell, who 9-3. I feel like she's fairly inactive if she was fighting against Jocelyn 3 years ago, right? I didn't go back and check her profile, but that's not a lot of fights for somebody who's 36.
Well, she fought in Muay Thai for quite some time.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
She's 32 4-1 in Muay Thai.
Sheesh.
In kickboxing.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that's off her Wikipedia page because she has one. Yeah. Not all these fighters have one, but she does.
She does.
And of course, I could update it if I wanted to, but I don't do that. Her first MMA fight was against Jacqueline Cavalcante. She lost that fight by unanimous decision. She's lost to Jocelyn Edwards. No, she beat Jocelyn Edwards. She lost to Cavalcante again, and she lost her last fight to Carol Rosa. Those are her only 3 losses. 2 of them to Cavalcante. She's beaten everybody else besides Rosa that she's fought.
Yes.
Good fighter, exciting striker. She got her last, well, it might not have been the last one. She threw a knee. The girl ducked her head, and she soccer kicked her in the face. It was great because the girl stayed on her feet, and so she hits her with the knee. She kicks her straight in the face, and then finishes her off by the fence. She's good. She's good. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be one of those striking paradise fights. And for
You know, I
women's
love
fights who don't
those.
normally knock people out, um, you might get a knockout in this one,
Hmm.
but chances are it's going the distance, and it's just going to be a firefight. Both of them are very good. Ooh, I don't know if I can pick against Jocelyn Edwards, and it's hard to beat somebody twice.
It is hard to beat
So,
somebody twice.
but I think she's her kryptonite. I
Really,
think she's going to do it again.
really.
No, not really, but I, I think she's got a good chance to win the fight, and I'm going
Plus
to pick her to win
300
the fight.
odds isn't bad for somebody who already beat her,
I know.
which is kind of crazy. Like, I understand the hype between Jocelyn Edwards at 30,
Yeah.
especially how she's looked in their striking. Granted, I am a big Jocelyn Edwards fan. It's plus 250. I was wrong. I'm a big Jocelyn Edwards fan. So again, I co-signed the favorite. That just seems like a large gap. Again, it was 3 years
Yeah.
ago. That plays into it a little bit. One's been on a pretty good trajectory since then.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good outputs in the UFC. Um, looking a lot more confident. And there's a reason they're putting those odds there.
Yeah. And I will say, um, with all honesty, I kind of fall in love with the past sometimes. I see what
Mhm.
somebody did in the past, and I'm like, well, they did it before, they can do it again.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the case. So even though she won that, she's had some nice wins. She's had some spectacular wins. Maybe she's lost a little bit on her speed. Maybe
Maybe.
she's lost a little bit on her accuracy. So
Hmm.
maybe she's taken a couple of too many shots to the head. There is a reason. I thought Leon Edwards was going to beat Protest because of what he did in the past, and his age caught up to him. Right?
Yeah,
He
he
wasn't
did.
as fast. He wasn't as good
Sharp.
on there. So
Yeah.
you know, um, that's kind of where I'm coming with this one. And when you said her age, I kind of thought, that might be that past catching up with me again.
You might be reminiscing a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I'll leave room for that, but I still think she's going to beat her.
I respect it. Um, this next fight is between flyweights. We got Louis Gruel coming off of back-to-back losses.
Mm-hmm.
Both these guys fought on that UFC Noche card recently
Mm-hmm.
with Lopez versus Silva. Um, one got a knockout win, and that was his first fight in the UFC. The other guy lost. Um, I'm leaning with the young gun here.
Mm-hmm.
Explosive, better reach. Even though it's his second fight in the UFC, the fighter who is 32 doesn't have that much experience in the UFC either. He's also coming over from another promotion. Um, so it's kind of a new versus new type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm leaning with Alden Correa here to
Yeah.
potentially get this one done within the distance as well. Um, but flyweights, betting them to finish fights is a little bit of a scary business in general. But I'm liking the Alden Correa side. I think they have this one pretty evenly matched on the books as well, which is fair.
Do they?
I think so. I'm gonna double
I would think
check.
this one would have bigger odds.
You think Alden Correa would be a heavy favorite?
Yes,
You'd be
without a
right.
doubt.
Minus 275.
I would put him higher than that. I'd put him higher than some of the other ones on here.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. I would put him up there. I would
Mm,
put him at much higher odds than the first two fights we saw.
really?
Maybe I live in dreamland, but yeah, I would put him at much higher fights. Um, Louis Garrel,
Hmm.
um, Louis, I don't think he's gonna win this fight. I think Kohei is so much better all around. Striking, grappling, I think he's got now. Garrel is very strong,
Hmm.
so if he wants to go in there and muscle him and bully him,
That's the
I
path to
think that's
victory.
his shot. I
Yeah.
think his shot is to go in there, muscle, bully him, make it a brawl. But if Kohei gets any space, I think that's it.
You think he finishes him?
Yeah, yeah, I think he finishes him. I'd give it round 2 or better.
Really?
Hmm.
What are we looking at? I gotta check those odds. I don't know if it's up yet, but nope, it's not up yet. But if they give you within the distance odds or not to enter the third round, take a peek at that because I think the speed factor. I think he,
Yeah, he's definitely got the speed factor. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the strength factor, but I think he's got every other factor there is.
Yeah, I think he does.
So.
And this next flyweight fight, I think the guy fighting on one side does have a speed factor as well, a little bit more power than Korea. But the career has been up and down for him, and he's fighting what looks like a debutant, but maybe I'm wrong in that assessment. Odie Osborne versus Alibi Idris.
Mm-hmm.
Alibi Idris has one fight in the UFC. It's UFC 319. He lost by sub to Morales.
And it was a good fight until that sub.
Yeah. Which
and Morales has a good name as well.
Yes.
Even though he's newer, I think both these guys are newer to the division and to the UFC.
They are both newer.
But
Odie
it was
Osborne,
a good fight up until then. Mm-hmm.
It's coming off of fighting Steven Erceg in a very close fight.
Yes, that was a close
Fought it
fight.
to decision. Very close fight. Looked good in a lot of moments. I think a lot of what hurt him was his inability to keep his foot on the gas in moments where he was winning the fight. He took minutes off. He allowed Erceg to kind of get the better in some exchanges. Even though at times I thought he looked like the faster fighter and a lot of times a sharper fighter in there at moments. He just didn't have the right game plan that night. They have this fight really, 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 really close.
I think it should be.
You know my heritage. When it has come to UFC, I have not really stuck with my guys. I think Odie Osborne could pull this one off. I think Odie Osborne has the speed and the hands to pull this one off. I think he needs to pull this one off.
Mm-hmm.
He's plus 110 on the books. Give me Odie Osborne. Give me Odie Osborne by finish against Alibi Idris.
Upset and by finish.
Yes, I think Odie Osborne gets it done with the hands. If it gets into a wrestling exchange, a grappling exchange, I am not picking Odie Osborne to beat a Kazakhstani in a wrestling exchange. And this Kazakhstani hasn't really had any takedowns in the UFC necessarily and got subbed. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
Something tells me he's going to want to stand and strike with him.
He is.
And Odie Osborne's fast, man. Again, his career hasn't really panned out necessarily, right? 13-9 record. But he lost by sub to Almabayev. That's one of the top guys. Filho subbed him. That's that's a favorite right now in the flyweight division. People like him. He lost to Steven Erceg, who, at one point was fighting for a belt. Still, I would say a top 10 guy. He knocked out Gruel. So, I'm looking at his losses, and quite a few of them are warranted, right? Got KO'd by Manel Kopp, who's not getting KO'd by Manel Kopp currently, right? Like, lost to Tyson Nam. I'm not big on Tyson Nam. I don't know him very well, but had a split decision win against Charles Johnson. I don't think he's a bad fighter. I do not. He has a lot of losses, but he's gone in there against some really good fighters.
Yeah.
The Jamaican sensation, I think, pulls this one out. And I think he does it by KO, and I'm on board.
All right. Am I going to get in trouble if I don't pick Odie?
I mean, I already know how you feel about us. You forgot, we weren't on video at the time, but when we were building the concept card, you put the deadliest fighters in each division to go to Jamaica.
Because I have so much
punch
confidence.
My Jamaican brothers in the face.
Because I have so much confidence in them.
That was your goal on that podcast, was to get all my Jamaican brothers KO'd in Jamaica. I won't forget.
So listen.
Yes.
Odie Osborne, very fast,
Yeah.
very impressive in his last fight.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Looked good against Erceg,
he's coming up against a Kazakhstan fighter who's tough as nails and who's going to be fast, probably every bit as fast as Odie is. In the feet. Hands, Odie might have them, but the movement and the ability to close distance and to get in and out, he's super quick. So I think this is going to be a really, really good fight. The odds makers, I think, are going on youth. I think they're going on. I mean, I can't put it at anything else besides youth. Odie Osborne looked so good in his last fight. How could you put him as an underdog in this fight? I'm going to go with Odie Osborne in this. But this is one to watch because Adiris is good. He is an up-and-comer. He's had one fight in the UFC, and that was a darn good fight until he got snatched up.
Yeah.
But I think it was late in the fight, though, wasn't it? If I remember right. Let's see.
It was round 2.
Was it round 2?
Yeah, Adiris got subbed in round 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't last as long as I thought.
No.
I'm going with Odie, though.
You are going
I
with
am
Odie.
going with Odie. Yeah. I think Odie's got this one, and I actually agree with you that he's going to do it on the feet. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout, but I think it's at least going to be a TKO stoppage. I wouldn't go with Odie to submit him, but I would go with Odie to take him out with punches.
I haven't seen Odie's ground game. I'm not going to compare him to Wang Kong necessarily because he's gone in there against some killers and they've submitted him. But something about my Jamaican brothers don't make them good grapplers. In the experience I've had, Leon Edwards is kind of an outlier, but just like me, they like to punch and watch it. Like they just like punching. That's what I've noticed. Uriah Hall, good fighter, karate guy,
man.
Punch and kick, right? Like punch and
strikes,
kick,
heavy strikes,
punch and kick. Not really squeeze, punch and kick though, right? Odie Osborne, punch and kick. So
Randy Brown
will punch and kick and get punched.
Yeah,
and kicked.
Well, that's the thing. Odie gets hit too.
Yeah, he does get hit too.
But I think he's strong enough, and I think he's fast enough to hold the Kazakhstan at bay and be able to tee off on him. And I think that some of those early shots. Now, I think Odie's got it. I think he's got this one.
It's good. I'm so happy to hear that. You know what? A large oxtail for you the next time we go. we're in the city and go have break at the same time.
Nice.
We'll hit the food truck up the street. Large oxtail.
There you go. I hear it's
for
good.
riding with the boys. Yeah, they got a food truck up there that's pretty nice. Pretty nice. This next fight they're gonna cover to close out the prelims on this card: Carlos Leal against Chidi Njoku. One thing I will say: this fight is not going the distance. Let's start there. It's not. The second thing I will say is a guy gets knocked out by Salikov, and now he's just tossed away like trash. Minus 130 for Carlos Leal. That's it. That's all we think. Njoku's not bad, but Carlos Leal's hands, the power in those hands that were on display up to that Salikov fight, we just forgot about it now because he got overzealous and got put on his butt, right? Because he needed to absolutely win this fight because he had proposed and he needs to pay for his wedding. So he blitzes in trying to get a first round finish, trying to get a TKO and gets sat down. Now all of a sudden he's just washed. Minus 130. Again, Njoku's not bad. 37 years old. But you know the old anecdote about people of Chidi's background. He's not a normal 37. Let's just put it that way. He's 37, but you pull up his profile, he don't look 37. Right? Very carved, very in shape, right? But Carlos Leal's power at the welterweight division, he looks like a light heavyweight in there. And for those reasons, give me Carlos Leal by finish. Because you're going to get into exchanges. Chidi has the reach advantage. Chidi's comfortable getting into significant strike matchups, right? Again, One guy's output is 4.72 significant strikes per minute. Other guy's output is 9.57 significant strikes per minute. Who do you think is who?
I'm a guess since you're picking Leo, that Leo's the one with the 9. But
But
I'm gonna
based on
say
the
that they're
power he
both.
possesses, you'd be surprised, right? That
Yeah.
he that he has that much volume also. Like
Right.
usually the power punchers, you're not going to see a high significant strike per minute, right?
Right.
But he's active and he punches really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's that simple. You're going to give
Yeah.
me a guy who has the power and the activity. Now, again, if his plan is to run into the end of somebody's fist again,
Mm-hmm.
I can see why these odds are that close. But I am fairly certain that Carlos Leal will be getting his hand raised and probably not even have any damage in this fight. I think he's going to run through Chidi Njokuani because Carlos Leal was looking at potentially a top 10 fight before that Salikov situation. And I don't think that's hyperbole. Everybody was on the Carlos Leal train. I think we're going to get back on it after this fight. What says you?
Don't be surprised
Don't be surprised.
if Chitty goes out there and pulls off a win this Saturday. Chitty has the length. I think Chitty has the speed.
Okay.
And he's got the skill to put
Okay.
Leo down.
And it's February. I'm surprised I'm going against Chidi in February.
So, in Chitty's last 3 fights, he lost to Jake Matthews, but he won his 2 previous against Dos Santos and Gooden. Leo has dropped 2 out of his last 3.
Okay.
Because he lost to Salikov and he got knocked out. We can't discount the fact that he got
beat.
He got flattened. And that wasn't that long ago. So for him to get back into there fighting after a knockout like that is going to be could have some side effects there. He beat Morano, who just got cut, but he lost to Fakrednikov, by a decision. He's good. So here's how I see this fight playing out. Whoever can impose their will is going to win. That's obvious. That's what normally happens in a fight. The ability for this is Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson. Okay. Lennox Lewis has the reach. If he can keep Tyson at bay or hug him when he comes in, then Lennox Lewis is going to win the fight because Mike Tyson can't get in on him.
Yes.
Leo has to get in on him.
He does.
Here's Leo's path to victory is Chitty allows people to get in on him. He allows them to charge him. He has not shown that he has the ability to stop that person from coming in on him. There's a reason Lil is favored in this. It's because he's very good at getting in on people and closing that distance. And he's very good at knocking people out at that distance.
He is.
And Chitty does allow people to come in pretty quick. I've seen it in some of his past fights. Kind of one of those things where when you see him backing up and the other person's in on him, connecting on shots as he's backing up, that's not a good look for him when you're facing Lil.
Yeah.
So I am going with Lil. But do not be surprised if Chitty keeps him at bay the whole fight. It's a boring fight. And Chitty wins this by unanimous decision.
So Chitty's path to victory is to extend this all 3 rounds, which it's easier to do that. And Leal's path to victory is to blitz him, which we've seen him do that.
Yeah.
We've seen him do that a lot.
If they get in a firefight, Leal, I think, walks out of this one with the victory and probably a KO victory.
His name is not Chidi Njokuani, right? No. The Achilles heel for Carlos Leal has been the Kovs and the Ovs lately, because you said he dropped 2. It was to Ovs, right?
It was.
And maybe he felt a little bit overconfident that the Ovs were going to wrestle him, even though Salikov was putting people on his butt over and over again. So maybe it was a little bit of that, like, okay, I'm the power puncher. I'm the guy who's supposed to be better with the hands, and I blitzed Salikov. Oh yeah, and Salikov's old. Maybe he won't be as quick. Salikov showed him something.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a little more calculated than this one, but I do think he needs to rely on that ability to close the distance again. And
Yeah.
it's a lot harder when you've been stung to put yourself in that fire again, you know? But he kind of needs to, I think. And I think he needs to close that distance.
If Leo comes in and fights afraid, he'll lose this fight.
Yeah.
Chitty can sit on the outside and he can
just
keep the
point him away.
distance. And he can do that. That's not necessarily how Chitty fights. So Chitty likes to get in there and he likes to rough it up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very good. I mean, he's got the skill like Salikov has.
Yes.
But and he's actually pretty polished at it. But I think that I've seen people come in on him so much that I think Leo will pull this out. But there is that chance that I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
And I know it's MMA, everybody has a chance, but this is a very real chance that Chitty gets in there and wins this fight. I would pick unanimous decision. I could also see a world where he gets the TKO in this one. So I don't think this is out of the realm for Chitty to win. But I think this is going to be one of those funner fights to watch because neither one of these guys are going to back down.
I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. It's a good one to close out the prelims, and then it leads into a very fun one to open the prelims. Zachary Reese versus Michelle Pereira. Here's the lowdown. Michelle Pereira is very fun. A little bit erratic, not sporadic. A little bit erratic in the octagon. Backflips, kicks from all angles, break dancing almost in there. Zachary Reese is an up and comer. Not very young. They're about the same age, but he's an up and comer. My first real interaction with him is watching him kick Henrique Dumas in the man bits, leading to a no contest. As a person who resides in the area that Dumas is from, every time Dumas is on a card, we kind of try to see what's going on. Didn't like how that fight ended. Was very clearly a low blow, very bad, a very terrible low blow. And then Reese comes out and fights Jackson McVeigh, beats him by sub 2 months later. McVeigh, unfortunately, has gotten the rough end of the stick, just being given,
Yeah, he really has
tough
gotten the rough end of it.
Because he came in at 6-0, and they gave him a pretty rough short notice fight. And then the Zachary Reese, I think, steps in on short notice against McVeigh. Hasn't been a good run for McVeigh, but Reese, he's a athletic dude. Plays distance management very well. I haven't really seen knockout power necessarily, but I've seen good movement. I think Michelle Pereira is becoming a little bit chinny. KO'd in 2 of his last 3. KO'd a TKO in 2 of his last 3. He will take a punch. He's in there to get punched. He's also been subbed in his career. Zachary Reese has a submission on his win list as well. So I haven't looked at the odds. I'm about to take a peek real quick, but even without looking at the odds, I'm leaning with Zachary Reese to win this fight. He's plus 125. I'm leaning with Zachary Reese to win this fight.
Wait a minute. Zachary Reese is plus 125?
Yep.
Okay.
Call Voya when you get off this call. But yeah, Zachary Reese is plus 125. And I just see a lot of paths to victory for the guy. Like, again, Pereira is very fun and very electric. And I feel like if Reese gets in this fight and allows Pereira to dictate where this fight goes, it's going to go everywhere all at once. But if he could survive that blitz and survive the hits from multiple angles and just the sheer, again, erraticness from Michelle Pereira, he could win this by UD. He could win this by sub. And I think he has enough pop to catch Pereira being silly and sit him down and maybe get a TKO. And that plus 125 odds, I don't hate that either. So give me Zachary Reese in this one to move to 11-2 and start asking for some tougher challenges.
Zachary Reese has lost to Bykov, which is not a bad loss, but he got KO'd in that. I remember that. And then he lost to Cody Brundage. Also a KO.
Yeah.
Now, he can knock people out. He can sub people. I would have picked Reese to be the favorite in this fight.
Me too. Me too.
Pereira's on a 3-fight losing streak.
He's on a skid, yeah.
So it's interesting to me that you would put these guys against each other. One's on a 2-fight win streak? 2 to 3 fight
No
win streak?
contest and then a win.
He's got a no contest and he's got 2 wins in his last 3 fights. And you're putting him against Pereira, who's on a 3-fight losing streak. Now you can look and see who they face because Pereira's level of competition is much higher.
Much higher, yeah.
He's got a fight over Olajaychuk, a win over him. And he's not the only decent name on that list. So expect this one to be an exciting fight early on. If this fight goes the distance, I'm going with Reese. If this fight ends early, I'm going with Pereira.
Okay.
I love Pereira's antics. This is the kind of fighter I like. I like somebody like him. He is so athletic.
Early day Nico, man.
Yeah.
Early
very
days
much.
Nico
Pereira, you can put
them
them in the same category.
Yeah.
And I love to watch them fight. And anytime they're fighting, I'm tuning in. So you can put them in the same category, and there's a few others, but I think the smart money's on Zach Reese.
I think so too.
Because I think the chances, both of these guys can knock somebody out. And whenever you get big punchers, and people with the ability to have those big shots, a lot of times they kind of play it safe some. Pereira's not going to play it safe, but I think if Zach Reese does, I think he can stay away from the dangerous Pereira for long enough to wear him down a little bit and win. I was not impressed with the conditioning. Pereira looks great. He's always comes in there looking like he's in great shape, but in his last fight, even though he looked like that, he gassed early. He gassed real early. And for those reasons, I'm going for Zach Reese.
There's some plus money chicken on this one, guys. I'm just saying. There's some guys on here where you're like, you know what I mean? Right now, based on my picks, you throw a little Phil Rowe, Zachary Reese together, right? And then if you want to just close it out with what I think is a lock, Jacoby Smith. You can
think
get
it's a lock.
So if I were to tell you, Roger, that Jacoby Smith was facing a UFC debutant, somebody who is coming from LFA was his last fight, beat somebody by corner stoppage in the 3rd round, but before that was lighting up the Ohio Combat League. Yes. So a debutant, UFC debutant against Jacoby Smith. What odds do you think Jacoby Smith is?
I would say he's probably a minus 200.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, he's minus 300, which I think is
minus 300.
Low.
Okay.
And I think the reason we have this is because Vegas doesn't like to get burnt often. They got burnt on that Malcolm Wellmaker fight because Malcolm Wellmaker was a minus. Well, they probably cashed out. Oh, it depends how much people definitely had Wellmaker by finish. People definitely had Wellmaker to win, but he was like minus 525. If anybody who's crazy, anybody who's a little bit of a degenerate and looks at the odds and not necessarily the fighters, me sometimes, right? If anybody does that and decide to just throw a little bit of bread, they hit Vegas over the head that day, right? So Josiah Harrell presents a little bit of the unknown, but what we've seen from Jacoby Smith is enough for me to say minus 300. Look, man, this is not betting advice, but look, man, minus 300. Yeah, it's free. It's free. Call who you need to call. Is there can you get a PPP loan still? Are those things still, I don't know. I don't know if you could get those anymore. Say you're opening a business. Say you're opening a burger shop, don't do fraud. But the chances Jacoby Smith loses this fight are very slim because I think he's very skilled in so many aspects of the fight game. And we've seen him go on the ground and do well. And we've seen the speed and we've seen the athleticism and we've seen him use his length well, right? Against guys who've been proven in the UFC, right? Obviously at the back half of their career, right? Because you think I'm saying this because he beat one of my favorite fighters.
No.
He's looked good against Parsons. And I don't know Savoy very well, but he knocked him out in the second round of the Contender Series. These are higher level fights than the Ohio Combat League. I know we're scared about the unknown. I know. But Jacoby Smith shows me all the right things right now. I don't think he is a one-trick pony, which obviously now we could go back in time and say Malcolm Wellmaker is a little bit of that. Even though I think Malcolm Wellmaker is fighting a better opponent coming out on short notice at that time. Based on everything I'm seeing, this doesn't look like a short notice fight, but maybe it is. Maybe I should look that up. It is?
It is. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Ko.
So Josiah
and then Ko dropped out. Josiah Harrell got the call up. Now, something about Josiah you may or may not know. I don't know if you've looked him up or not. He was supposed to be in the UFC last year, or it might have even been 2 years ago. In fact, I think it was 2 years ago. They did a brain scan on him before his last fight, or before he was supposed to go in. Nobody had ever done a brain scan on him until he was getting into the UFC, signed up for a fight, and he had to have major brain surgery. He got out of brain surgery, he recovered, and he's fought twice now. Once in a comeback fight, it might have been 3 times. Once in a comeback fight and once to win the championship for LFA. He was already supposed to be in the UFC. I think he won a Contender Series fight. I might be misremembering that, but I thought he won a Contender Series fight, and he got.
He's 11-0, so he probably did win the Contender Series fight.
Name. I might have to go to his page for it, but anyway, it got canceled because he had to have major brain surgery. Now you've heard me talk about Jacoby Smith. I like Jacoby Smith. I'm super high on Jacoby Smith. If Harrell was fighting anybody else, I would pick him to win that fight. I've only seen Jacoby Smith fight once, and it was so impressive. He was so quick. He was so fast. This might be the only person that has the wrestling advantage on Harrell in that whole division. Jacoby Smith has the wrestling advantage on pretty much. I'm trying to think of another welterweight that has a wrestling advantage like Jacoby Harrell has.
Stop it. You know a welterweight that has.
Or not Jacoby Harrell, Jacoby Smith. Who?
You know a welterweight that does.
Oh, I forgot he moved up.
Come on, brother.
I forgot Makhachev moved
I was
up.
looking, not even just Makhachev, though. Usman. Come on now, brother. Let's not be too hyperbolic. Jacoby Smith has 3 UFC fights.
I don't think Usman has the wrestling advantage over Jacoby Smith.
All right, guys, this has been Kick and Post.
At this point today, at this point today, I don't think Usman has a wrestling advantage.
Usman just tossed around Buckley. He still has it.
As of today.
You are wilding. I'm sorry.
Hey, I might be.
This is crazy.
Harrell might come
Smith
in and
did that much of an look. I thought I was a Nico Price fan. You watch Jacoby Smith submit Nico Price, and then you're like, he's the greatest wrestler in the welterweight division.
No. It's not just because of that. It's not just because of that.
He said better than Usman.
I do think he's
currently. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's
currently
crazy.
I would say
I'm clipping this. I hope you know that.
Good. I hope you do. I think he's probably better right now than Usman just because of his age. I think Usman, with his age, is
in his knees.
Not going to have the advantage.
All right. I mean, I guess.
But listen, Josiah Harrell is very good, and against most other people, I would pick him to win those fights.
Yes.
I think that the sheer why as to why he's fighting, people talk about you have to know your why. Why are you doing this? Josiah Harrell knows that. You're not going to come across somebody that knows it better than him. So from that aspect, he could give Jacoby Smith troubles. And but I'm still going to pick Jacoby Smith to win this. I think he's athletically everything, but I have to give the edge on the nickname to Josiah Harrell.
What's the
Have you
nickname?
looked
I
at his
didn't even go
nickname?
look. Oh.
Hold on. Let me bring it up because I want to make sure I get it just right. The Muscle Hamster.
The muscle
The
hamster.
Muscle Hamster.
The
Yep.
muscle hamster.
Love it. Love it.
I
I got a feeling about him that he's going to be really good. Josiah
I
Harrell.
love a story, and I didn't know the
Mhm.
brain surgery thing, and I'm glad you're able to put me onto that. Beautiful story.
You think I'm crazy?
I don't like the guy with brain surgery fighting Jacoby Smith. I don't necessarily love that. Give him somebody who likes to grapple. Don't give him somebody who's fast and punches hard. But like, if he's everything you say is, which again, he sounds like he's a killer. I'm excited. Now it makes more sense because I figured it would be like a minus 800. Now it makes a lot more sense why people are somewhat high on him going into this fight, skill wise. And I'm excited to see what he presents. I'm excited to see Josiah Harrell. Maybe prove me wrong. Maybe I won't call Voya for this one now. You've scared me away a little bit. I'm just excited to see, because if the muscle hamster's like that, maybe he gets his opportunity to stay. It's funny how life has a way of coming around and giving you an opportunity again. So yeah, I'm excited to watch the fight. I'm very excited to watch the fight. Very excited to watch this next one as well. Heavyweights are in there. Sergey Spivak versus Ante Delija. Ante Delija being the first heavyweight to win by knockout and lose by knockout in the first round of a fight. The same fight.
Yes,
I think ever in the UFC. Before that was on a little bit of a run. Finished Tybura by KO in the first round. Finished De Castro by KO in the first round. That was FNC, but he was going to make a little bit of noise, right? And finishing Acosta would have been a good part of that. And I mean, depending who you like, right? Yes, there was an eye poke.
Yeah,
Acosta was getting pieced up. Off the eye poke, but Acosta was getting pieced up. He goes in there against a Sergey Spivak who, at 31, has a lot of UFC experience. We talked about him being the headliner on the 2023 Fight Night in France against Gane. He's been around a while. He's been fighting the higher level opposition. He's on a 2-fight skid. Lost by unanimous decision to Acosta. Lost to recently cut Jalton Almeida by KO. Right?
Yeah, I remember seeing that. But you do look at that sideways. You got to.
Yeah, like, he punched you. Okay. But
must have been competition.
Must have been an accident. He probably was shooting and just threw it a little bit too high, right? I say all this to say this. I think Delija gets back on track. I think he's a heavy puncher. I think they gave him Sergey Spivak for a reason. Again, life has a funny way of working, right? Because if Delija gets that win against Acosta and it's called where it was supposed to get called, technically,
oh man,
what happens, right?
We're talking about him vying for a title.
Exactly. Do we get Acosta versus Lewis? Probably not. Do we get Acosta versus the next person that he knocked out that on that run? Probably not. Right? Like, Acosta was the guy stepping in on short notice after beating Delija. Guess Gaziv. It probably would have been Delija versus Gaziv, right? Who knows how that goes? Then Delija versus Lewis? I know how that goes, right? Like, so one guy's probably a top 5-4 heavyweight now, when the other guy had the run to potentially do it. And I think he's going to get right on this one. One of my favorite bets on this one, they don't have the odds yet. Take a look when it drops of Delija by knockout, but not only that, just the fight not to go the distance. That's my shtick. In the last 5 fights that Sergey Spivak has had, one has gone to unanimous decision, and then obviously Delija doesn't have that much UFC experience, but in the 2 fights he's had in the UFC, it's ended in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. So they're not distance fighters. And we make fun of the heavyweights. These guys are chiseled for heavyweights. Delija coming in
Yeah.
at 237, and Sergey Spivak usually doesn't carry a lot of weight on him either coming in. So these are good examples of guys with gas tanks, which kind of go against the fight to end within the distance mantra. It just lets me think they could have a higher output early, higher output in those exchanges, leading to more of these heavy punches landing rather than it being 2 to 3 heavy punches and then a lot of heavy breathing, right? So give me Ante Delija by finish. I think he gets right. I think he gets back on track. And he calls out Acosta. He says, I know I might have poked you in the eye, but you also felt these fists.
Yeah.
And I won. They said I didn't, but I did win. And then I was really sad, and that's why you knocked me out. Because I got so sad that I just fell asleep when you hit me.
I got so sad.
I got so sad because I thought I had won, and then they made me really sad. So you didn't really beat me. Sadness beat me. So I'm here to take this win back.
Yeah.
Some version of that in Croatian. What says you?
Let me tell you, I completely understand the idea of believing you've won and that something is over.
Yep.
And then having to ramp yourself up again to go in there and fight, because the first guy who gets it is contesting the whole time. He's still in fight mode. He was fighting the one guy. Now he's fighting with the officials to keep that fight going.
Yep.
And now he's fighting you. He never lost that fight mode. You thought you won. Your whole body shut down in relaxed mode. You think this is all behind me. Next thing you know, they're saying, no, you got to go back out there and you just got to get going. I've seen it happen on some occasions. You see it in sports where they call back penalties. They call late penalties where somebody thought they already won the game, a la Ohio State, Miami, long time ago. I understand that happened. I agree with you 100% with Delija, with the KO win, probably first round. I'm going to echo everything you said. And I think he gets back. Won't be surprised if he calls out Acosta again. But I think with the heavyweight situation in the UFC, that he's going to be back in title contention after this one.
Real quickly.
Yeah.
That's the
I think
point.
this one and one more fight, and he can call for a title shot.
Real quickly. Get him right back in
Only
the
if
mix.
Acosta is still undefeated and hadn't gotten it, will somebody step in front of him.
I agree, and I'm all about it. Again, I'm not an eye poke fan, right? But if you call a fight, right or wrong, call that thing, right? I watched Dumas lose a fight where he got eye poked, very clearly eye poked, and they let the fighter continue punching him and finish the fight. And it all stemmed off an eye poke. And nobody said, whoa, let's run that back. You don't win because you poked him in the eye. That was it.
Yeah.
Dumas just had to eat that and live with it, right?
And we just witnessed it with Patty.
Exactly, right? Eye poke, a couple of them, and they didn't go up.
Yeah.
They just let it be. And Gaethje scored points off the eye poke. The eye poke led to a lot of punches, a knockdown, right? Like, they didn't stop in the middle of the exchange and say, whoop, can't punch him in the face. You poked him first, right? So for Acosta to not be, gifted a second opportunity there, but he literally got gifted a second opportunity. So
yeah, I think he did too. I think they were stopping that fight. I think I was on record with that, but they were definitely stopping that fight, I thought.
I thought so too. So I think there's a little bit of retribution for Delija.
And I think he'll get back there. And, maybe by the time he gets there, Acosta will have the title and we'll have a nice little story to tell.
I'm okay with that. And at minus 170 odds, call Voyet. No, I'm kidding. That might be my crying call.
Don't be surprised.
Especially these last three fights, right? Your boy, Costa,
my boy,
the Dalmatian, is going against Dan Ige. Dan Ige has this mantra of surviving everything.
Yeah.
Dan Ige fought on 8 hours notice. Dan Ige was grilling. He was on the grill. And they said, you want to fight Diego Lopez? He's like, sure. Got in there. Survived the whole fight. They give him Costa. Costa's a minus 220 favorite.
I'm surprised at that. I'll go on record right now and say I'm very surprised at that.
You thought it would have been lower?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Why are you looking at me like I'm crazy? He lost unanimous decision to Frier. Pitbull. and he lost to Lerone Murphy by unanimous decision. He's went the distance with everybody that beats him. But those are big names. Costa
Yeah,
hadn't fought
but
anybody with those names.
Costa's on a how many fight win
He's won
streak?
4 out of his last 5, and they were all last year.
He's won 5 of his last 5, sir.
No, he lost one of them last year, didn't he?
He's beaten Shaolin. So he's beaten Shaolin by submission in 2024, beat Feely by submission, beat Rodriguez by decision, beat Julian Erosa by decision, KO'd Margan Sherreri first round, head kick. That's 5 in a
Well,
row.
I'll be.
He lost to Steve Garcia before that. But yes, he's which, you know, still counts, but he's been on a run, especially over the last year, right? And the way he's been winning fights, I'm surprised that it's that way. Because Dan Ige, though he's lost to a lot of good guys, he's been losing.
I want to take back what I just said.
And he lost to Pitbull, which, I mean, it depends how you see Pitbull. But lost to Pitbull. He beat Woodson, which was the sweetheart for the UFC for a minute there, with the length in that division. Lost to Lerone Murphy, lost to Diego Lopez, KO'd Feely, right? He's a fighter. He's game. I believe that the odds aren't crazy. I think the durability is what everyone's giving Ige credit for, because unfortunately, though he is durable, a lot of times he'll get in there and he's fighting to survive. Like, he gets in exchanges, but he's fighting to survive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. His level of competition has been higher. But the guys he's beaten, I don't think are better than the guys that Costa's beaten.
Oh, okay.
If you put Woodson and Sherreri in a fight right now, I'm taking Sherreri to beat Woodson.
Yeah.
They both beat Feely.
Yeah.
So, like,
and I did not see that his last the people he lost to, because I knew he had some losses early on. Those came out to be really good losses. Thiago Moises and Steven Garcia. Steven Garcia, who is probably one of the top tier in that weight class right now. Like, he is ranked, but he's one of those people Steve who Garcia, I could see winning a title. Steven,
Yes, he beat Onama recently. Steve Garcia's on a hell of a run too.
He
beat up Qatar, beat up Cater. I think he's on a 7 fight win streak. Yeah,
that ages very well.
Yes,
those 2 losses, and the fact that they were both in 2023. I take back what I say. He has fought some very good competition in there, although, you know, not as recently. But those 2 losses that he had have aged very well.
Yes.
And you know I love Costa.
I know
it's hard to bet against Diego or Dan Ige.
Dan Ige.
Yeah, not Diego. Yeah, give me Costa in this one.
It's hard to pick finish. That's where my mind's at. Because I think though Costa got the finish against Sherreri, then he gets so durable.
Isn't it hard to pick? Yeah,
he's so durable. Oh, it's not hard to pick. I think Costa. If we're gonna sit in there and have both these guys strike for 3 rounds, I think Costa has more tools.
He does, and I think he's gonna be more active.
More active, exactly. And Ige will stand there and just wait for an opportunity. What it's hard for me to decide is, do I want to, which I'm almost certain would be plus money, take the side where this ends in a finish, because Ige's path to victory is by finish, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that.
I don't think he could outperform Costa for 3 rounds. I think Costa has enough to finish Ige as well. I think he could sub him, honestly. But I know for sure I'm taking Costa to win, and at -220, if I throw it in with some other stuff, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
nice little odds booster.
Yeah. This was one of those that I picked to be one of the funnest fights of the night. I really think that it will be. I underestimated Costa's competition, I think, until you started rattling off some of those people, and I was like, wait a minute, let me look at this. I think I underestimated some of his competition that he had. He's a really fun fighter to watch. If you want to see somebody who's going to be nonstop action, they can take some punishment. He's pretty durable himself. He is not the only durable one in there. Um, he's had knockouts. He's had submissions. He's also lost by knockout and lost by decision. So that makes this one a really good fight between him and Dan Ige. It's really hard to pick against Dan Ige because he's such a likable guy.
He's such a guy,
He
yeah.
takes fights. When's the last time you saw Dan Ige actually have a full fight camp?
This is one of the first in a long
Yeah.
time.
I mean, you put him with a full fight camp, and that makes it super difficult to pick against him.
Mhm.
I think Costa's doing it. I think I think he's the up and comer in this one, and this is going to be the one to get him ranked.
I think so too. I think this is a good jumping spot on Paramount with a decent enough crowd. I think people want to see Fluffy, people want to see Strickland. So I think he'll get people to see some of the stuff he did. Obviously, his last one was on a good card as well. But this one, it furthers that. And he's on the main card, which is beautiful. Right? Jeff Neal, Uros Medic. We both saw Medic's. We both were doing this pod when Medic put a stop to the Salikov train. Put punches on Salikov. Very accurate, very active, very sharp in there. And he's going against Jeff Neal, who's a heavy puncher as well, but very flat-footed. And we saw the results of that flat-footedness recently in one of his last few fights, getting KO'd. If I were to tell you who was the favorite in this one, who do you think is the favorite in this one?
I would go Medic to be the favorite in this one.
Uros Medic is plus 170 on the books right now.
Ooh.
Carl Voya. Carl Voya. Plus 170. Now, look, Jeff Neal, when it comes to competition that he's fought, it's been the upper side of the welterweight division consistently for the last few years. Guys like Gary, Prates, I think he fought Rachmanov. He's no slouch, right? He's no slouch.
Elbow was...
Yeah, the Prates elbow was nasty, right? But like a lot of the guys we talk about recently, which we need to be putting more stock in, it's fun to get the good fights against the good fighters. You're not winning them.
Yeah.
So I should stop giving you credit because you have L's next to Ian Machado, Gary, Rachmanov, and Prates when your wins are against Dos Anjos in 2024 and Luque in 2022.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit harsh, but I always look at those names. There's L's next to him. He didn't beat those guys, right? Yeah. Like, lost to Stephen Thompson in 2020, lost to Neil Magny in 2021. Santiago Ponzinibbio is a split decision win, right? In the year 2025, he got KO'd in the first round by Carlos Prates by that elbow. One fight in 2025. In 2024,
it was like 1 second left.
Yep. In 2024,
on the first round,
fought to a split decision with Ian Machado Gary. We don't think Machado Gary is a very entertaining in terms of like trying to get finish fighter, but he's very technical and he probably knows where he's at on the scorecards, and he plays that very well. And he was in there against a flat-footed Jeff Neal and probably just picked the shots and pointed it out. That's what I remember seeing. Beating Rafael Dos Anjos in the year 2024 does not get me excited to watch you fight again. That was a 40-year-old in there.
Yeah.
You KO'd a 40-year-old who hasn't won a fight since 2022. And you give me Uros Medic, who's 12-3. Right? And Jeff Neal's fighting style is not to bounce around and get out the way. It's to stand in front and throw heavy punches, very planted. And Medic is a mover, will get out the way, right?
Yes, he will.
Loves those exchanges. Has 3 knockout wins in his last 4 fights, all in the first round. Has 1 knockout loss to heavy-handed Soriano in the last 4 fights. Right? So, you're asking me to get on this app that allows me to potentially multiply my money and put him in a fight against a flat-footed guy who wants to throw everything behind those punches. And he's the underdog?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on the side. I'm on the Euros Medic side on this one, and I think it's another first round finish for Medic. Because I think they're gonna get into an exchange, and I think one
Mm-hmm.
guy's not gonna be able to get out of the way of a power punch, and I'm leaning with that being Jeff Neal. Even though if Jeff Neal does plant and land, it could still end in the first
Yeah.
round, just the other way.
Yeah.
Uh I'm surprised to see Medic at plus 170. And if I don't do anything with it tonight, by the time it's Saturday, that might be at plus 100. I think people are gonna see that line, look into it a little bit more, and be like, that's
Yeah.
fishy.
Yeah.
Jeff Neal's getting odds based on the name. Recent performances do not warrant that. What's his
Yeah.
user?
I say yours in this one. I can't believe he's an underdog in this one.
Exactly.
But for every reason you just named, now Jeff Neal is technically really good.
Mhm.
He's very strong. He is a hard puncher. He can put you down if he connects.
Mhm.
But like you said in his last fight, he was a bit flat-footed. Uris is going to move around. Uris is one of those people who does make movement. His friend in there.
Mhm.
The whole step and slide footwork that I feel like Jeff Neal does. He does well, but he's not. It's going to keep everything tight, everything small, all of his movements efficient, which is kind of what you want, except it also puts you in a box, kind of. And
Mhm.
when the other guy can bounce around and get from one side to the other super fast, and you, you know, you're kind of stuck in this box here. I think Eurus lands one, and I'll even go as far as to say that he lands it from an odd angle. It's not going to be a straight on shot. It's going to be one coming from the
Like
side
looping.
and probably either underneath or overhead,
Mhm.
because he's just going to bounce to the outside and it's going to be right there. And Jeff Neal's front and back step slide technique that he does is not going to allow him to pivot fast enough to face him. And I think it's going to right on him,
Right on him.
put him down. First round, maybe beginning a second round, but I'm going with Uris in this. Of course, Jeff Neal, he can knock people out, but
He can.
if I'm going with a pick and I'm forced to make a pick, Uris in the first round.
I love it. I love it. Plus 170. You give me plus 170 on that? Psh. Call Voya. Call Voya. This next fight is an interesting one, man. The finale of a fight night card that should be filled with a lot of fun. Houston,
Mm-hmm.
Texas. Sad to see no Kevin Holland on this one.
Yeah.
Sad to see, or maybe not so sad to see no Derek Lewis on this one.
Yeah. No Joshua Van.
No Joshua Van
How are
on
you
this
going to
one.
go to Houston, Texas,
Yep.
and not have any of them
Yeah.
on this fight?
Who love Houston. Some from Houston, some love Houston. But we have Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. One man's been on a tear and it's been active. He's trying to really make a mark. One man's been fighting for belts for the last 4 fights. And we seem to forget a little bit of that too. For everything that Sean Strickland is, right? After getting punked essentially by Alex Pereira, going against the game plan, which come to find out that win is aging beautifully. I mean, that loss is aging beautifully. He's been in some very important fights. Gained a belt. Lost it to Duplessis, who for most of the time in the UFC had plot armor, I feel like.
Yeah.
And won a fight against Costa to get right back in there again against Duplessis. And I'm not the biggest Sean Strickland fan necessarily in terms of fight style. I think he has some fun stuff in there. I think he's a heavy hitter. I think he does a good job of shelling himself and making it hard for people to get to him. And he stays active enough to keep a fight interesting. Hernandez has been the Energizer Bunny, I feel like, in a lot of these fights. He looks so fresh in there, so comfortable, so in shape that Not saying Roman Dolidze gave us much to like be excited about, but the way he manhandled and tossed him around, um, and looked completely game at the beginning of all of those rounds until he subbed him. Um, the Allen win is aging well as well. They're probably on a crash course to see each other again. Um, KO'd Michelle Pereira, subbed Kopylov, beat Shabazin. Um, some of these are not aging as well, and it is a question as to, are you leaning with the guy who's been showing the gas tank and the growth, or are you going to lean with the guy who fights very important fights and has won a couple of those important fights? I had this as like a very easy pick on Fluffy, I'd say, for most of the week, and I'm still leaning on the Fluffy side. Sean Strickland at plus 250 odds is enticing to me, though, because he is a little bit bigger in there as a middleweight. He does play good defense, and he wants me to believe that he is an elite wrestler.
Have you
And if
seen
he,
that too? I feel
yeah,
like I've seen him saying that he's one of the only ones that can take Chimaev because
yeah,
he knows how
he's
he
said that a
trains.
few times. And I mean, you're gonna have to catch Chimaev because he's fighting once every 10 months. So good luck ever wrestling Chimaev. Um,
Yeah, this could be for an interim.
it could technically have been for an interim. Um, I am a little bit split. I could see a world where Sean wins this by decision. I could see a world where Anthony takes us all the way by decision. I could see this being a very grind and gritted out fight. Um, I think Sean's defense against Fluffy's striking is kind of a neutralizer.
Mm-hmm.
This one could end up being decided on the ground, and Sean is trying to sell me on him being a wrestler. He really is. Um, and that with a guy who has a lot of respect for Izzy, his performance against Izzy were good. His performance against Duplessis, even though he lost him, even one of them was with a decent amount of damage on his nose, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly, weren't bad. The
Yeah.
unanimous decision was a little bit rough, but he looked good in there. And the odds being what they are, I don't want to say puzz me. It's just weird, you know. Um, I'm leaning on the Fluffy side still. I think the
Yeah.
activity, I think the output, I think the stamina. I think he has those in droves right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I got to see some of the things Sean's talking about again. He has to prove it to me again,
Yeah.
before I'm willing to step on that side of the fence. I know you're a Fluffy lover, so what says you?
You can't say that with a straight face. I do love me some Fluffy though.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the thing. I'm looking back at Sean Strickland's past fights, and he has got a list of victims on him. Now he lost to Duplessis twice. He beat Costa.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Adesanya.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Magomedov. He
Mm-hmm.
beat Imavov, who is
Yeah.
next in line for the title. And that
Mm-hmm.
was a unanimous decision. That was a 5-round unanimous decision.
Yep.
He's beaten he lost to Cannonier by a split
Yes.
decision. But, lost to Pereira, beat Hermanson, beat Uriah Hall, beat
Beat Brendan
Jotko,
Allen way back in the day.
beat
Yeah.
Brendan Allen. It was by knockout, so he caught him on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, going back, the closest person to Fluffy that Strickland has fought is Allen.
Mm-hmm.
They are different, but I think they're the closest
Comparison, no, for sure.
in comparison. And he has a KO win over
Mm-hmm.
him in the second round. I still think Fluffy finds a way in. And I think that Sean Strickland always has that chance to knock you out because he is so tight. He's going to make it hard for you to land. That's the one thing that gives me a little bit of pause in that. Hernandez's game seems to be to hit him, and when you hit him, come in
Stifle.
on him,
Yeah, stifle.
right?
Yeah.
Sean Strickland routinely has some of the lowest times where some of
He
the
doesn't get
lowest
taken down
punches
much.
landed against him.
He doesn't get
He
taken
doesn't
down
get
much either.
landed on very much, even
Yeah.
with the punches. Pereira got him, and I mean he does get hit sometimes. Obviously with the bloody nose and everything,
Duplessis has
that's a big deal.
tapped him a couple times. Yeah.
But as much as other people get hit, he doesn't get hit that much. So a lot of those punches that Fluffy normally lands and then goes for the wrestling, they might just have to be fakes and then go for the wrestling. But he's going to have to get off. He's going to have to get to that wrestling um, in order to get Strickland. Now, if Strickland has anything like the wrestling he says he has, then it's going to be a long night for Fluffy
Yeah.
because Strickland's in shape. Strickland runs that camp. He's known for doing live sparring, and the way that he trains is pretty much like a fight. He
Hmm.
spars more than anybody else in the UFC, if you believe Joe Rogan. Um, Sean Strickland spars more than anybody else in the UFC and gets hit less than anybody else in the UFC. Now, if that's true, um, which I think a lot of it is, he does spar a lot, kind of like Tony Ferguson used to do. Um, he's definitely not afraid to get hit.
Mm-mm.
He's been hit several times. He's not afraid of it. He doesn't care. But he has immaculate defense when it comes to the striking. What I think Fluffy's going to need to capitalize on is that shoulder roll. When he throws something that makes him roll the shoulder, it
Hmm.
makes him expose his back a little bit. And when he does, that's Fluffy's chance to get in on him.
To
And I
pounce.
think
Yeah.
if he can work that in to use Strickland's defense against him, Hernandez can win this running away. And I think if he does find a way, and there's many ways to get Strickland down, if he finds a way to do it and do it consistently, he's going to win this 5 rounds to none.
I do think the
It
gas tank on Strickland is good.
it is,
I
and
do think the
if
gas
it's
tank on Fluffy is good. So I like that. I
yeah,
like it to go the distance.
this is not gonna be a fight where these two are tired anywhere in the fight. If it is, I'll be surprised. I'll be shocked if either one of these guys really gets tired. If they go into that 5th round and either one of them looks dog tired, I will be shocked. I think they're both going to be pretty fresh going into that 5th round,
Hmm.
and I think Strickland needs to keep him at bay with his punches. He needs to use his jab. He needs to just use that distance, um, which he has better than anybody else,
Yes.
with his hands, to just keep him at bay and keep that defensive wrestling going, but not allow himself to be taken advantage of when he goes to roll that shoulder. And I think he's kind of too smart for that with how many times he sparred. Um, but I think Fluffy's got so much opportunity to get in and take him down. Um, Fluffy uses wrestling better than a lot of people do, but Strickland is not known as a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not known as a wrestling guy. Um,
Known as a striker.
he's known as a striker, and you haven't seen him fight a lot of guys who like to wrestle, and Hernandez definitely likes to wrestle.
Hmm.
And I think if he can push him to the cage, then it's going to be a long night for Strickland. So I think Fluffy has more ways to win this than Sean does. So from that aspect, I'm going with Hernandez to win this. I think he's got more tools in the tool chest. I think if you want to get in a kickboxing fight with Sean Strickland, you're going to lose. So I hope that's not his game plan.
So don't be surprised. No I'm joking. But honestly though, like he's heavy
Yeah.
handed, man. Like I think the Izzy fight is a good tell on what could happen, right?
Yeah.
Because you could have the game plan to be Strickland, and then if something connects and rocks your world, not necessarily puts you out, but rocks your world and shakes up the game plan a little bit, he's strong on his feet, has a good base, not really going to get tossed around much, right? Like maybe put, like you said, put against the fence and worked, right? But he's not like, he's going to have good takedown defense.
Yeah.
Hernandez is going to have to find a way in. I think he can. I think there's a good reason why he's favored. And plus 250 isn't like disrespectful necessarily to Strickland. Just based on how
He
active
probably
one guy's
thinks it
been.
is.
He definitely thinks it is, and Strickland's camp definitely thinks it is.
Yeah.
But with a little bit of
he
the
lives out in
inactivity,
Vegas, doesn't he? So
oh yeah, he does.
I'm sure he knows.
Yeah, he does. I'm more of a fan of it going past 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're telling me that it does, just based on what I've seen Fluffy do recently, I think he could drag it out for a very long time. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Strickland's defensive style, though good, like you said, can be taken advantage of against somebody who's looking to wrestle.
Yeah.
Shelling up against Duplessis and shelling up against Adesanya makes sense. Those guys are strikers,
Yeah.
predominantly. Um, I think he's gonna have to give enough away in the offensive side to give Fluffy a reason to pause. And Fluffy's just
Yeah.
been on such a confident run right now that unless he puts himself in a very questionable position in a striking
Mm-hmm.
exchange, he's gonna stick to the game plan, wrestle, jab wrestle, throw wrestle, and if the shell is the plan, he's gonna wrap up. And it might not be the most fun, consistent 5-round fight you see, but it's gonna be active,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be looking for takedowns and points, and I think he could win by decision.
Yeah.
Not saying Strickland's impossible to sub, but I think he'd most likely win by decision. He gets active on top though, so don't be surprised if you see punches raining down if he is able to get him on his back. But um, I don't. It's not gonna be a. If Fluffy's game plan is successful, it could be a very long night. If
Mm-hmm.
Fluffy's game plan
Yeah.
is not successful, and they end up exchanging for 5 rounds, that'll be probably one of the most exciting fights on the card.
Yeah.
Um, it's a flip of the coin.
And if you told me that that was going to happen,
Yeah,
and then I had to make a pick,
yeah,
I would pick Strickland on the feet.
yeah,
If he finds a way to stop Hernandez from coming in,
yeah,
then I'm giving it to Strickland. I'm giving him a clear advantage on the feet. He's even with the best defense, somebody can get caught.
yeah.
Fluffy can get caught. You know, Strickland was caught against Pereira. Like,
Strickland caught Adesanya, who for the
yeah,
longest,
yeah.
he didn't get caught by many people
But
until that, you know.
outside of that happening, outside of a busted defense by Sean Strickland, which is pretty rare, but I mean,
Mhm.
who's done it? Pereira.
Yeah.
Who's probably the best in the world at doing it? Pereira.
Mhm.
Um, I don't put Fluffy in that class. Um, especially not to floor him like Pereira did.
No,
Um,
I mean Pereira is a light
so
heavyweight. Like,
so that's where it hinges. Can Strickland stop Fluffy from grabbing a hold of him? Because if
Mhm.
Fluffy can grab a hold of him, I think he wins this fight. I think his wrestling is unique enough in MMA right now that it's hard to find somebody to prepare for him like that. He doesn't wrestle like Chimaev. He doesn't wrestle like Makhachev. He doesn't wrestle like Jacoby Smith or Usman. You know, he wrestles in a different way. That's a smarter way that kind of stops the jujitsu guys. And which Strickland is not known for either his wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Though he may have some of that in his background, that's not what he's known for. Um, and even if he did have some of it in his background, I think the style that Hernandez brings is enough to stop him.
Mhm.
Um, but we'll have to see. That's what the fights are made for. I'm picking Fluffy because he's got more weapons. I just think he's got more opportunity to do it. It's strictly kickboxing fight, Strickland all day long. This is not that. And for those reasons, I'm going with Hernandez.
I'm excited to watch it, man. I'm excited to watch this fight and where it leads. There's a lot of things coming out in the fight game in terms of cards being announced,
Mm-hmm.
fights being announced. Obviously, we still got the BMF card coming up
Yeah.
the immediate week after this. No, is it? I think I might have
Um,
skipped ahead.
I
Nope.
think there's another fight. Yeah, there's
Kavanaugh Moreno
Kavanaugh.
is next in February 28th in Mexico. And then March 7th, we got Holloway Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very excited about that one. Um,
That next fight card is going to have some good fights on it too,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
and then
sure.
it's going to have a lot of newcomers.
There hasn't been really like a bad one necessarily announced yet. Everything I'm looking through has some really, really fun fights on there. Um there's some that haven't really been fully fleshed out yet.
Yeah,
That we're excited for coming up too. But yeah, we were in for a fun time in the UFC. Um and as more things come out, we'll be here to cover it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the fight that comes up this weekend. Um, Excited to talk about what comes out of it once it's completed. Any closing thoughts, Roger?
I think this is going to be one of the funner fight cards to see.
Mhm.
That we've had. I'd put it right up there as far as the quality of the fights are going to be. I'd put it
Mhm.
up there close to where that pay-per-view was. The first one with Gaethje
The
and them.
first one. Yep.
That was a great one. I say pay-per-view. I know it's not pay-per-view, number card, if you
Mhm.
will. Um, and so the last one had a lot of up and comers, a lot of people on their way down, a lot of people on their way up. This one's going to have a lot of contenders going against each other and possible future contenders, but generally just contenders going against each other. So this one's going to be a good one. Mid to upper level guys on this. Fun fights to watch. A lot of them are going to be exciting, especially at this level. The guys are not too good to get hit and to have surprises happen. So I think that's going to make this one an exciting one to watch, especially if you're new to it. And if you've been here for a while
Mhm.
and you kind of know some of these people and some of these fighters, then you know it's going to be a good card.
I have a closing thought for you, for the viewers. Ante Delija, Euros Medic, Costa, Phil Rowe, Odie Osborne. $5 wins you 500. This has been Art of MMA UFC Fight Night preview. Strickland versus Fluffy. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please like, subscribe, and share. And come back to make fun of us once Middich gets dropped by Jeff Neal
Woo!
and Phil Rowe gets finished in the first round. And Delija is fighting on Ryzen's next card against Johnson
These things are
Almeida.
hard to predict. These things are hard to predict.
It is hard to predict. None of this is locks. None of this is. This is all. It's why the fight game is so fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's why the fight game is so fun, because you could have every plan in the world. It should make sense on paper, but the fights aren't had on paper. They're had in the octagon, and you have to tune in to see how it goes and just enjoy.
Yeah.
As we've been saying, enjoy the Paramount era. It's off to a flying start. And we'll be here every step of the way to kind of guide you and just cover it and have fun with it. So thank y'all again for tuning in. We'll see y'all on the next one. In peace.
Later.